All right, let's do it. Let's do the Patreon questions here.
Hi, my name's Steve Manser from Grand Island, Nebraska. First, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you, Pat and Ian, for your long-form podcast, as I'm a semi-truck driver by profession, and you guys helped me kill many, many miles over the years listening to your 2-hour-long podcast, so I really appreciate it.
Better than hookers.
I just wanted to touch on the topic you mentioned a couple episodes ago regarding 8-Bit Guy's relabeling of retro game cartridges. And I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of this practice. In fact, I have been doing a little bit of relabeling myself, mostly on cheaper games that are just unrecognizable otherwise. I personally would rather pay money for a really good restoration of a cartridge than one that, you know, frankly to me is garbage if I can't even tell what it is looking at it.
Okay. Well, thanks for the question, comment. I would, me personally, I'd rather spend the good money on an original with a good label. That's just me versus the reproduction label.
Right. And that's my thing as well. If you say it's, you know, being done on the cheaper games, I feel like by the time you know, buy the reproduction label, scrape the label off the original game, and apply it, I mean, if we're really talking cheap games, finding the cheap games tend to be common. Why not just find the original in nice shape?
Oh, there's more to this. Okay.
I think that the trade should move forward instead of being
the hobby, I think he means.
Pushing this practice aside. I think, as you mentioned before, you know, a relabeled authentic cartridge should half the value right there. I think that's a great way to get started on that, because, you know, the longer we go into this trade, I just think it's inevitable that some of these relabels are going to get out there in the circulation. So, anyways, thanks again. Okay,
so I think we're going to get to that point, but I don't think it's going to be half the value. I think it's going to be a quarter or less than that. Again, it's not going to end up with comic books where it's like 1% of the value or 5% of the value when you have like a destroyed destroyed cover on a comic. They put a repro label. Repro cover. I don't think it's going to be that, because you can play a game versus like the aesthetic of an old comic book and the value of actually reading that's gone. Like if you have Amazing Fantasy 15, you're not going to fucking read that. No one's buying that to read that. But people will still buy an old ass game, like, I don't know, a random one, Danny Silva's in Heat, to actually play it.
Yes.
That's the difference. So to me, it's almost like then maybe the I don't know. We have to come up with a way. Maybe it'll be a consortium. Maybe we'll ask me or you to be on it. We can come up with a fucking, you know, there's a grading guide. You can buy the Overstreet grading guide where it's somewhat, it's structured how you grade a comic book. Maybe we'll get there with video games, and not just a fucking seal, but the actual label, manual, and the game box. I don't know.
And I think that's where it will probably have to end up going. At some point, there will end up. I mean, if this hobby continues, if the interest in it continues at the rate that it does, if it has the lasting power, there will have to be some sort of consensus on that. And who's going to do it, I don't know. But, you know, as with all collectibles, coins, comics, toys, eventually there comes a point where every hobby reaches this point where is what's acceptable, what's not, and how are we going to determine the value of things when things are reproduced, replaced, touched up, etc., etc., etc.
Well, no one's talked about touched up yet. No one's even talked about that.
Oh, no.
That's even, yeah.
I'm not talking about, but I'm just saying.
We'll get there, though.
No, but I'm saying in examples in other hobbies.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this all comes up eventually.
I'm sure we're going to get to the point where people will start touching up game labels and then trying to get a better grade for it, or the box. Because we're talking a lot of money. We're talking about, like, if you have a shitty box and then, like, maybe you can press it, you know, like how they press some comic covers to make, like, the wrinkles disappear. You might get there.
Yeah. So, anyways, we can agree to disagree. I mean, I don't agree with the practice, but
No.
I do think it's inevitable. I mean, I'm not going to be unrealistic. I do think it's inevitable that
Inevitable.
Shut up. I do think it's inevitable that at some point, there will become kind of a guide or guidelines to how this is handled.
Next question.
Hey guys, this is Eric from the Retail Archaeology channel, and I have a question that's probably more for Ian than Pat, but the question is, why do you think GameStop is having so much trouble and having to close stores? And meanwhile, I feel like mom and pop game shops are popping up all over the place and seem to be doing well. Anyways, guys, thanks for the awesome podcast.
Hi, and thanks for the question.
Thanks, Eric. So why are mom and pops doing better, but GameStop's having trouble and they're closing a lot of stores?
The only reason I laughed at the question is because that's a big can of worms. I think a good mom and pop shop does well, and I've been getting this more and more lately, and this used to be a problem. Back in the 90s, I noticed with places like Babbage's and stuff like that, where it got to the point where you stopped getting people who were specialized.
So knowledgeable employees.
You stopped getting knowledgeable employees who work there. And I think that changed for a while. And then we're now back at the point where you're not, and this is just one of many reasons, you're back at the point where you're getting unknowledgeable employees. You're not employees at places like GameStop and whatnot that are not really knowledgeable on any of this stuff.
Okay. Because it used to be like when I'm thinking of like Egghead, Software, etc. in the 80s, you had to get people that knew what the fuck they're talking about computers. Because if I came in asking for a computer, computers weren't ubiquitous. Not everyone knew what they were. So you needed employees that explained to me what the computers, how they actually worked, what I actually needed.
Just like your Radio Shack employees with the tandy hair. I mean, they had to have the tandy hair because that's how you knew that they could sell you.
I never heard the expression tandy hair before.
I use it all the time. I've probably used it on the podcast like 30 times.
Because I know, what the hell is tandy hair?
It's a very specific... It's a very specific hairstyle that was popular in the 80s.
Do you have tandy hair?
No, I don't. Okay. I do not have tandy hair. So anyways, I think one thing that drives customers away is that they are not getting a level of customer service or knowledge about products that they would expect. Another thing is they walk into a GameStop now and feels like a hot topic. But they have to survive though. They have to sell the shirts and the trinkets and the toys and loot crate items. They have to, but at a certain point they push that so much that I think it pushes people away. Walk into a good mom and pop shop and you look around and you see nothing but video games.
Sure. Well, they have a billion different stores. So it's hard to be at that point. It's hard to be like we can hire specialized employees for all these billion stores. We have to just fill them up.
And that's also
they're like the McDonald's. Like when you order at McDonald's, that person doesn't know how to make a hamburger or French fries necessarily. You know what I mean? Or they don't know the science behind it or what hamburger you enjoy more. What soda goes best with what burger? Like you know what I mean?
It's also a matter of oversaturation of GameStops.
Absolutely.
You just don't need one every fucking 6 blocks.
No, it's like Starbucks.
You don't, and that's going to cause them to die out.
There are malls with more than one GameStop.
Plenty. Horton Plaza had 2 of them directly across from each other for the longest time.
Which is fucking insane.
We had 2 of them on Midway for the longest time. I mean, no one knows what Midway is, but basically Midway is a main shopping drag here near where we live, and it's literally you could walk from the one GameStop to the other GameStop in 10 minutes.
So then they had to close one because
they closed one. Another thing would be they constantly profit-wise and we talked about this on a previous podcast about how insane it is. They're constantly shooting themselves in the foot on profits. We discussed this when we talked about the circle of life.
The circle!
Okay, so a company like that makes the most money on used game sales.
Sure.
Yet they constantly put their newest games on sale for like 2 weeks. From $59.99, they regularly drop these new games that have been out for maybe a month, to $39.99 brand new while still charging $52.99 for a used copy.
Doesn't make any sense.
How the fuck are they going to make money on that?
So that's just bad policy.
What places like what we do, and I'm sure other mom and pop shops have things they do just like this. Is okay, a brand new game comes out, and this is one of the worst things GameStop ever did, and this is another reason why I think mom and pop shops do well. GameStop started putting all their trade-in prices and cash prices online. You can literally pull up the GameStop website and go, what will I get in cash or what will I get in credit for this? So what we do is we pull that up and we beat it by $2 to $5.
Sure.
And then instead of selling that used copy for $54.99 of that brand new game, we sell it for $44.99 because we have less overhead. So immediately we're beating GameStop. We're beating the new price of a game by $15. We're beating GameStop by $10. And now people will come to us not just for retro, which they don't even offer.
Well,
but they will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother fucking story. Got a good juicy one on that for next podcast.
Oh.
Really good
Is
juicy
Ian
one.
teasing? Ian never teases topics for the next podcast.
We have a good one.
I don't fucking know about this. I'm the first one. You're finding out when I'm finding that out.
Yeah, I'll tell you about
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's just a podcast that, we do. But okay.
We'll work that one.
Okay.
But anyways, so I think these are all parts of it. I think knowledgeable employees, the breadth of software that you get at a mom and pop shop, and the fact that we fucking make better financial decisions in places like GameStop, and also mom and pop shops aren't on every corner.
They probably treat your employees better.
Yeah, you treat your employees better, and we don't force shit on customers.
Yeah, you don't sign up for the power-up card, pre-order 50,000 games. I just want to buy something.
And we have 2 locations in San Diego that are spread out. People have to travel to us. That's more money supporting each location as opposed to trying to fucking support, 25 locations in San Diego.
So Luna's going to expand across the U.S., is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're taking over.
We're taking over. Last question. And by the way, if you want to ask a question, it's patreon.com/CUPodcast. This is the last one here.
Hi, gentlemen. This is Sean from Youngstown, Ohio. And I'm curious, as a kid, during a heated match of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, after losing to Mike Tyson, I was so upset that I threw my Nintendo controller into a wall and left a big dent into it. So, gentlemen, my question for you is, what's the most physical amount of damage you've done to, hopefully not humans, but done to something in a fit of video game rage? Keep up the great work with the podcast, and it's nice to hear, Ian, that you're doing better, or at least it seems like you're doing better, but keep going.
I'm
I know
trying.
that chronic illnesses are a real pain. Take care, all.
Well, Sean, I think you're a juvenile delinquent, and you should have been thrown, into the county, whatever the county school for troubled children. Jesus Christ, you threw your controller into the wall because of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Wow.
I actually think that's a more common practice than most would think. But
I'm trying to think of Nintendo era. When I got older, like competitive, like hell, I'll say it, Worms Armageddon. I was like ranked at one point, like they had that world ranking system. I got pissed when I lost those matches.
a hell of a game.
Fucking awesome game.
So I watched a guy in my neighborhood get pissed at I actually almost want to say it was Super Punch-Out, but I'm gonna say that maybe that influenced me. It might have been a sports game, but I clearly remember him taking a Super Nintendo controller and whipping it so hard into the brick fireplace that it shattered the controller and the buttons went everywhere. The most violent I've ever gotten, most damage I've ever done. I tend not to be really violent. I'm not a violent person, but when I get frustrated, I will throw sometimes my controller up in the air just a little bit. I'll be like, Jesus Christ, like this, and then it will fall gently back in my lap because I do not want to damage it.
I've seen you do that.
Yeah, and I don't want to hurt anyone, so I'll be like,
it's almost cute.
I throw it up in the air and then I try to gingerly catch it. Well, there have been a number of times where I've thrown it up in the air and looked up and it's hit me in the face.
Okay.
So I've hit myself in the face with a lot of controllers.
My dad used to throw the controller down when I was beating him on a double dribble. I don't know why. The only games he ever played with me were Top Gun which he bought for himself because the movie was huge, and I'm glad they're doing Top Gun 2. I will be there to see it. Top Gun 2 Maverick starring Tom Cruise. I will say that. But Double Dribble, which we've always brought up before. He didn't watch basketball. I didn't play basketball. Why did he buy me Double Dribble? It was probably on sale. At Toys R Us, he just wanted me to get like a double. Oh, I pay, and he bought it for me. And he was so like, God damn it, throw the controller down. It's like we're playing Double Dribble.
It sounds like that one time you rage quit in pro wrestling during.
I don't think I rage quit.
I think you did. I think thousands of viewers.
I don't think it was a rage quit.
I body slammed you like twice, and you were like,
"Don't think it was a rage quit." I don't recall that. I
quit.
don't recall that happening at all, sir. Don't recall that. But I'm trying to think if I ever actually damaged stuff. I don't think. I was always too preoccupied with. Oh my god, I can't break my controller.
Yeah,
I just slam my hand. I've actually hurt my arm before, just like slamming it on my hand or something like that.
I will hurt my leg sometimes. Like if I'm playing,
smack those meaty thighs.
It's a typical response when I'm playing shooters.
Okay.
I will slap my thigh. Be like,
that's like an oldie time. Yeah, dag nabbit, Parodius.
And when it gets really, really sore, that's when I generally stop.
Nice red, pink ass thighs.
Pinball generally gets me a little more worked up. That's why I'm real happy for sturdy crossbars. I will generally slap the crossbars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I don't do that. I when I see people do that, I go, ooh, that's a high, well-oiled machine there. It's a lot of working parts.
Well, you don't have to put a lot of force into it to have it make a satisfying sound. So really, it's just like.
How's your pinball machine doing, by the way? Is it working?
It works.
You never play it.
I need to get the score reels replaced on it.
Oh, okay.
And the local guy will do it for me, but I don't exactly have the extraneous cash for new.
Oh, they're expensive.
The digital score lights are expensive for a Paragon.
When I move, I will finally get my pinball machine that I want. I still want to try the Big Lebowski one, see if it's good. All right, so thanks for the questions. We have more, but Ian's in a little bit of pain, and we'll just save him for next time. Go to patreon.com/CU podcast if you want to support us. You want to see the full video podcast. This is one long podcast we cut up in parts, and you can leave us a question or comment.